When I returned home, my husband was already standing there. His expression was cold, distant, like a stranger. "You were supposed to be gone by now, right?" he said without looking at me. "The month is nearly over. How about you give me the signed divorce papers?" It felt like he was checking off the last thing on a to-do list, the final step to erase me from his life. Standing next to him was a woman I didn't recognize, holding the hand of a little boy who looked around 5 years old. She was young, maybe in her late 20s, and dressed in a way that drew attention. She clung to my husband's arm like she belonged there. "Let me introduce you," he said with a smug smile. "This is Vicki. Soon, she'll be my wife." His words hit me like a slap. I didn't know what to say. It was all happening so fast. My heart was pounding, but I stood frozen. Then his tone shifted, becoming sharp and cold. "Like I told you before, we're strangers now. You have no right to be in this house." He pointed at me and my son. "Sign the papers. You and Rufus need to leave." He looked proud, confident, like he had everything under control, like he had won. But then something unexpected happened. His smirk disappeared, his eyes widened. He realized something wasn't going the way he planned. You did this?" he asked in disbelief. "I thought you were just a simple housewife." That's when Rufus stepped forward, holding up a thick book in his hands. He looked his father straight in the eyes and said, "Ha, Dad, you don't know anything." That moment seemed to shake my husband. He was speechless. Maybe for the first time, he realized he had underestimated us. "My name is Miranda. I'm a housewife and also work part-time. I have a 16-year-old son named Rufus and a husband who works for a big trading company. His job often sends him away, sometimes to other cities, sometimes even to other countries. Because of that, I've raised Rufus mostly on my own. Lately, my husband has been working on solo assignments far from home. He rarely visits, even though he's still in the same country. Coming home isn't easy because of the distance. When he does return, it's usually for holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, or Labor Day, and even then, he usually goes straight to his parents' house, which is an hour away. We used to be a family, the three of us, but now, we barely feel like one. Our relationship wasn't terrible, but it wasn't close either. After being married for over 10 years, the spark between us slowly faded. We still cared about each other in a distant, polite kind of way, but love, that part had gotten quiet. Money was never a problem. My husband's job paid well, so I didn't need to work when Rufus was little. I chose to stay home so our son wouldn't feel lonely. My husband supported that decision at the time. But when Rufus grew older and started his later years in elementary school, I noticed a change. He became moodier and easily annoyed. I told myself it was just a phase. My younger brother had been the same way at that age. Still, I felt like I needed something of my own, so I told my husband I was thinking about getting a job. His first reaction surprised me. "You can work if you want," he said, "but I don't want to look like a useless man. Pick something that suits you, something you enjoy or that helps you grow." I had always loved flower arranging and even had a teaching certificate in it, so I started working part-time as an assistant in a flower arrangement class. It wasn't much, but it gave me a sense of purpose, and my husband agreed. "That's a good idea," he said. "If I ever get transferred overseas, it might be helpful." So I kept at it. I worked, took care of the house, and raised Rufus. Life went on. But I still wanted to talk about Rufus's future, his school, his career, his dreams. One evening, I brought it up gently. "We should sit down soon and talk about the future, for Rufus." He nodded, and I felt relieved. Maybe we were finally on the same page. Rufus was starting high school, and by fall, he would be a sophomore. It was the right time to start planning ahead. But during the summer break, when my husband came home, he said something I never saw coming. "They're thinking of transferring me back to headquarters this fall. Perfect timing, right?" I thought he meant we'd finally be together again, but what he said next shattered that hope. "I want a divorce." Just like that, no warning, no reason, just a plain statement like it was something small. "What? Wait, what do you mean?" I asked, shocked. "It's simple," he said calmly. "We've been living separately for a while now. That's a good enough reason. It's time we both start new lives." I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. "But we didn't live apart on purpose. You were away for work. You didn't come with me. Because of Rufus's school, and your father." His father, my father-in-law, still lives alone in a nearby retirement home. This house used to be his, but when we got married, my in-laws moved out. After my mother-in-law passed away, my husband stopped talking to his father. I still visited him sometimes. I couldn't just leave him all alone. You didn't need to do that, my husband snapped. I told you to leave him be. He's in a proper place. We don't need to worry about him. But I do worry. It's not your job. And Rufus's school, you were the one who wanted him to go there. Sure, I did, but you could have transferred him if you really wanted to. No, it's not that simple. Exactly, he said, so you chose not to come with me. That's when he handed me a divorce paper, already filled out. I'll stay in a hotel, you can't be here anymore. And with that, he left. Don't worry, that part's already done, I said calmly. Good, I'll be commuting from that house once the new fiscal year begins, my husband replied, sounding relieved. Take care on your way back, I said, keeping my voice steady, but remember, when you return, Rufus and I won't be here anymore, and I won't be waiting for you, we're done. I didn't need him to say it, I already knew there was no going back. I had no intention of ever being a part of his life again. The last week of August arrived, and my husband came home. Even though we had discussed many things and agreed on most of them, the divorce papers still hadn't been submitted. It was the only thing left. You promised, didn't you? He said coldly. You said you'd be gone when I came back, and the month's almost over, so how about it? Let's finish this. Hand over the divorce papers. He wasn't alone. Standing next to him was a woman I had never seen before and a small child who looked to be about 5 years old. The woman was holding the child's hand protectively. Let me introduce you. This is Vicki, she'll be my wife soon. Vicki looked young and flashy, clearly trying to make an impression. She gave me a quick smile. Hello, she said, is that your son? She motioned toward Rufus, but quickly hid her own child behind her when she saw how uncomfortable he looked. What's your name? She asked the boy. But before Rufus could answer, my husband stepped in. Hey, don't ask that, it's none of your business. He gave me a cold stare. I've told you already, you and I are nothing now, strangers, and you and your son have no right to stay in this house. Then he smiled, a cruel, twisted grin that made my stomach turn. Sign the papers, take your son and get out. He was looking at me like he had already won, like this had all gone exactly how he planned, but he had no idea what was coming. So this is how it is, I said softly. What's wrong with that? We've already agreed on everything else. There's no compensation for the divorce, right? All that's left is to make it official. Vicki chimed in, clearly feeling smug. I'm glad you're being so understanding. I heard he gave you some things to make up for it, so you don't need to feel guilty anymore. That last comment seemed more like it was directed at my husband than me. That's right, he added. I really wanted to get this settled and file the marriage registration today, but that one thing held us up. Still, we'll be on time for Ethan's school enrollment. Ah, so that was the real reason. He was rushing the divorce not for us, not for closure, but to register the marriage and recognize the child before the school year started. I understood wanting the best for your child, but this wasn't the right way. As for divorce compensation, I said, pulling out a folder, I'll accept that it's not included in the divorce itself. It's stated here in this notarized document, but there will be compensation for the affair, and not just from you, also from that woman. You've got to be kidding, my husband shouted. I'm not paying a single yen for that. The child, Ethan, flinched and grabbed Vicki's clothes. I'm not joking, I said, calmly. The law allows you to seek compensation for an affair within 3 years of discovering it. Divorce compensation and compensation for infidelity are completely separate. And now that I know the real reason for our divorce is your relationship with her, not the long-distance work excuses you fed me, you'll also owe divorce compensation. His face changed. What are you saying? I took a deep breath. You lied to me about why you wanted a divorce. You pretended it was just because of us living apart, but in truth, you want to marry her, recognize the child, and start a new life. That's deceit, that's fraud. If a divorce is based on lies or pressure, it can be annulled. I laid out the documents, legal paperwork, evidence, everything carefully prepared. Divorce hasn't been finalized yet, so this notarized document can still be changed, I told him. My husband's hand trembled as he held the papers. Let's talk again about compensation, fairly this time, I said, smiling politely but with firm resolve. If that's the case, then I'm canceling the part about Rufus's school fees, he said angrily. You can't, I replied. It's the same notarized document, but the content is different. That section stands. I haven't lied. Everything I said is true. You agreed to pay for Rufus's tuition, and you will. He looked like he wanted to scream, but instead he just said, Fine, I'll pay, just stop talking. Thank you, I said, smiling brightly to make sure both he and Vicki knew exactly how little their tricks had worked. You're just greedy, he spat. Maybe, but at least I know how to get what I'm owed. And here, I said, handing him a paper, this is the receipt for the divorce application. I submitted it this morning. He looked stunned. You already filed? Yes, I said, so we're officially over now. He turned to Vicki, and they both smiled like they'd won. Finally, now that that's done, there's no reason for you to be here, he said, get out. Actually, I replied, Rufus and I are staying here, you're the one who needs to leave. Don't be ridiculous, this is my house. Is it? I asked, tilting my head. Whose name is on the house title? My father's, and what's his is mine. No, I said, it's mine, I own this house. His smile faded. You think that because you have residence rights, that won't last after the divorce. You're no longer part of my family. I handed him another document. What's this? Your father adopted me, that makes me his legal daughter, and he gave me this house. What? That's absurd. It's all written in the family register. I showed him the official paperwork. His jaw dropped. Your father loved me like a daughter. He saw how I cared for him when you didn't. When you stopped visiting after your mother passed, I was the one who stayed in touch, who looked after him. After he first mentioned divorce, I had gone to my father-in-law. He had always been kind to me, and I knew he still cared. I told him everything, and he hired a private investigator. We found out everything. You didn't want to be away for work. You wanted to live with Vicki and that child, right? Vicki had met my husband at a nightclub, where she worked as a hostess. She was young, only 20, but they got close fast. She got pregnant, and he chose to lead a double life. He had a second house where he lived with them, a second home filled with lies. Cameras were even installed so he could know if I ever came looking. When his father found out, he was furious. He told my husband he'd get nothing, everything would go to Rufus, and to me. And then, he adopted me. Now I had everything, the truth, the house, and the strength to stand tall in front of the man who once thought I was weak.